Hello, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And yeah, I think you've all heard about it. The Indian media exploding or imploding in its frustration because they're trying to make the whole war scenario so serious. They want Pakistan to take it so seriously. But the people in Pakistan are literally having war memes rolled out. And they're rolling out the most hilarious true to Pakistani kind of memes that can only be expected from a Pakistani. That you've got, I mean, you've got to hand it to Pakistanis. I think this is probably the only country that knows how to make fun of itself and that literally makes fun of itself. And its sense of humor is such where it doesn't even mind going personal on its own self. And the way they do it is in such a way that even if you're a rival, you just don't know what to say. Because if there's something that they would say words that you should have even thought of saying, but you never even thought of it, but they already thought of it, and they've already said it and they've done it. So yeah, so right now it's more like a war on memes because India has been so flabbergasted that they are literally just spinning round and round and round trying to touch their tails. They're so frustrated. They're going cray cray, in other words. And so much so that literally recently a few Indians actually tried to answer meme for meme, but they didn't do a very, let's be honest, they're not very good at it. They're not really good at making memes in this way, in the way it's true. Many critics have said it, that in this war you will definitely lose. Yeah, when it comes to memes and when it comes to the kind of memes that Pakistanis create, yeah, India will definitely lose. You can't make those kind of memes seriously. As I said, you cannot even think of the things that the people here can think, and they will attack themselves and at the same time have such a dig on their enemies that the enemies of the rivals or the opponents wouldn't even know what just happened. And that's exactly what's going on. So yeah, India is crying buckets because Pakistan isn't taking it seriously, or should we say the Pakistani people are not taking it seriously. Because as we know, the whole in breakage of the Indus Water Basin Treaty is also something that just does not happen, in the wink of an eye. It's not like they've got floodgates that can cover the whole thing, that they'll just say, okay, throw it down. It's not. And as I said, there are a lot of other factors that come in. So it was very impractical of the Indian government. And I think it is this impracticality is what caught the whole world's attention. The fact that even Trump decided to stay away from the whole thing. I mean, usually American presidents they're only too happy to jump in and usually take India's side. But the fact that this was so obviously a false flag operation in Kashmir, the fact that it was so obviously another attempt by India to try to create a political problem or a political tension in the region just because things weren't going right for Modi, because that's what he always does. That's what any and every Indian government does. This is something I've commented on before in previous podcasts, the obsession of India for Pakistan. In Pakistan, when people want to win the elections, for example, they will talk about what's going on in Pakistan. They'll talk about domestic issues. They'll talk about food. They'll talk about housing. They'll talk about prices. They'll talk about petrol. They'll talk about healthcare. But whenever there's an election going on in India, their main theme, their running theme, Pakistan. Their whole speech begins and ends with Pakistan. Just like how the current illegal government, the American inflicted government, the government that has been inflicted and imposed upon us by the American establishment, just like how their speeches always begin and end with Imran Khan. Maryam Nawaz, she can't say two syllables without Imran Khan's name coming into the mix. So that it's their be all and end all is Imran Khan, and that is how India's be all and end all is Pakistan, which I really find very, very concerning, very pathetic, very unprofessional as well, because India is a huge country and it's got huge problems. Forget the fact that the state of Punjab in India refuses to recognize the Indian government. You've got Kashmir, which is obviously under the UN resolution. It is an independent state that has the right to choose its own status in the world. And then you've got Assam and you've got Bihar. And then, these are again two very important states that are anti Indian government, because they were originally supposed to be part of Pakistan, but they couldn't be made part of Pakistan, and they were also basically occupied by India. So it's the fact that there's a lot of aggression of Indian government forcing states that were not even supposed to be part of India to be a part of India. So they have more than at least four occupied states, technically speaking, including Kashmir. So, when you look at that and you see all the troubles and the problems that the Indian government has, one would think that the Indian government would actually take extra and great care to solve the domestic issues of India. And that is what people want. You think that the Indian people want you to blabber on about Pakistan? Seriously? Only you and your media, only you and your media are on and on about Pakistan. Only you and your media obsess about Pakistan. Only you and your media create these fantasies and these false informations and false news and, but you know what? A majority of your people are living below poverty line. And if you compare it to the population and the geography of Pakistan, and it's huge. Your numbers are huge. Your I think if you look at the percentage of people living below poverty line in India, it's alarming, it's concerning. And instead of focusing on that, the Indian government has decided, oh, let's just trigger, a political drama. Let's just go on and trigger a political stunt. And let's just drag Pakistan into the mix and divert everybody's attention. That is essentially what the Indian government has always, that is their ploy. It's always been their ploy. Just do something, get a false flag operation done, kill a few people, try to make it all about, Pakistan, drag Pakistan's name into the mix, and then force the people to divert their attention from the actual current issues that the government has failed to address. In Pakistan, what the government does is they bring other issues that they try to distract us with. But the problem is, they don't do a very good job at distracting us either. And they know that we are not the kind of country who can be bothered with India. So they never bring India into the mix. They really tried once and twice and failed miserably. So they realized that no, we're not bothered and we can't be bothered with India, and India is not important to us. And as you can see right now, you see India once again is dragging Pakistan into the mix, and they're creating this whole war situation, which everybody and his wife knows cannot be possible. It's just not possible. Pakistan is a nuclear state, India is a nuclear state. Look at the damage. The damage is going to be widespread. And the fact that India's army has been screaming blue murder for the past half year at least, where they've been constantly saying that they're not even well equipped. This is literally what the chief of India's army said literally just a month ago, less than a month ago, before this whole scenario even began. He had said that it was very concerning that India's army is actually not even equipped to go to war with Pakistan. And just 1 month after that, India's government suddenly says, oh, let's just have a false flag operation. Let's just kill a couple of Hindus. Like that, we will not only, sort of intensify our occupation of Kashmir, but will drag Pakistan into the mix and create a whole war crisis and divert everybody's attention. You're crazy. Just less than a month ago, your army's been screaming blue murder about how they lack. They lack in the actual technology, and they lack in the actual weaponry. And even the fact that they were saying that there were some pending projects that have never been completed till now, whereas Pakistan has already completed and further gone ahead to more advanced technologies on those weaponries and on the warplanes and the weaponry and everything. And and India's government is the response to that. Is that the Indian government is saying, oh, okay, let's just create a war threat scenario. The stupidity of it is not lost on the people, and especially not on the people of Pakistan, I guess, because instinctively everybody knows that this is not something that you can just do overnight. It's not. As our former president Musharraf once even said it on the record when he corrected an Indian anchor who was claiming that oh, we did this and we did that, and we have won up to you in Kargil and all. And he's like, hello, I don't even know what your government is even telling you, and the amount of false news that they've been spreading. But we literally had you in our grip. We had you by the neck. We could have throttled you then, and you didn't even know. And it's a fact, actually. The fact that the Indian government actually lies to its public about every single event. And I know that because I've literally seen many of those events unfold on international platforms. And I have seen how the Indian news have wrongfully covered that. And obviously, our own media is now just as censored. I've always referred to India's media as censored. India's media was never free. Our media was a bit too free. And now they're censored because of the current government. The current government has censored the media. But again, our media and our government, their priorities have nothing to do with dragging India into the mix and diverting our. They have other ways to divert our attention. And they're failing miserably at that too. Their biggest enemy is Imran Khan, not India. So you see where priorities here. I mean, just look at it. Just look at Pakistan's priorities and look at India's priorities, government-wise. Now, people-wise, our people are, they're as I said, it's only in Pakistan. Only a Pakistani can do this, where there's a war threat, and India's like, oh, we'll shut down the water supply, and Pakistan's like making memes out of it. And I mean, it kind of makes the memes even make sense. Any and every Pakistani can relate to those memes, really, especially people in Karachi is like, okay, yeah, what? I mean, it's not like Karachi was ever getting water in the first place. They already have a water mafia, and they're already dealing with all that shit. So it's like, what gives? So I mean, there's a lot of witty memes, and I think the whole world is actually, because I noticed that a few Palestinians and a few Americans and overseas Pakistanis and a few Caucasians and Middle Eastern people also, they kind of jumped into it, and they were literally making memes against India, and laughing about how Pakistan is making memes, and sort of adding to it, because as I said, the situation here is very obvious to the whole world, except maybe the Indians, I don't know. But I'm sure that to a majority of the Indians who are not even voicing themselves on the internet or in the social media, to them too, they're like, what the frack? What the frack? I mean, seriously, who are you making fools out of? You think we don't know what's going on? It's just like how, 67%, if I remember right, 67% of the Americans, they were of the view and of the opinion that 9/11 was a false flag operation. And the fact that 67% of the population, that just tells you that yes, no matter what the ratio, but it's all when a larger number of your population still has enough common sense to see what their government is doing, right? So, well, and also another weird thing that I noticed is that recently, especially, as you know, there's a lot of Indians that have been coming into Pakistan, as we know. I know majority of them are Punjabis, and also they think that it's okay because. But as I said, the only thing you can expect from India, because Pakistan is not at all taking it seriously. I think the only thing that India might dare to try to do is what it did just a few years ago, and that is throw a few targeted missiles, to kill a few targeted civilians. And my only fear is that they might actually, because they've already done it, just to further their agenda in Kashmir, they've already killed their own people, innocent people. What's stopping them from trying to do that here across the border? Which is why I feel it is safe that Indians should try to go back to India as soon as possible. Plus, as I said, there's this huge influx of foreigners also. There are, a lot of foreigners, they like to travel in this way where they go to India, and then from there they come to Pakistan, and from here they go to Dubai, and then they go back to Europe or America and stuff like that. They kind of do these mini world tours. That's what I would call them. But as you know, that there have been lots and lots and lots of European and American vloggers as well that have been coming into Pakistan. Obviously, we give a lot of that credit to Imran Khan. Imran Khan is the one that once more put Pakistan on the map out there, once more, meaning that, Pakistan sort of went down into a sort of an oblivion. But he put the map back, the tourism part of it especially. He made the world once again sit up and realize that, oh yeah, Pakistan is an underrated tourist spot. We have always had tourists in Pakistan, but the kind of, the hype that was created was during Imran Khan's time. And although I kind of, to be honest, I expected that hype to die down with him being ousted, but somehow no, it didn't. Because as more and more people came, they encouraged more and more people to come. So there's a large influx of vloggers and other people coming in to Pakistan recently. And I've noticed, especially that those, especially most recently, the vloggers have been more open and honest about their experiences in India versus Pakistan. Many of them have tried to be very polite and very nice about it in their comparisons, but many of them have been polite, but some of them have become more and more blunt while addressing the issue. There are a couple of vloggers that have come to Pakistan via India, taking a flight from Delhi to Amritsar and then crossing the border. And they literally were thanking their lucky stars that they had left India. One of them actually said that that was the worst experience that he could ever have had. And they all seemed to have had similar experiences with regards to the Delhi airport. They seem to have had troubles with their flights. They seem to have troubles with refunds. They seem to have troubles with tickets. They seem to have had a lot of problems in Delhi airport. And then many of them also claimed that they were scammed. Okay, this is something that I know that my own parents, when they have been to India a couple of times, or at least once anyway. And I remember my mother telling me that when she was even in Chandni Chowk, she said that the minute they realized, because as I said, we speak Urdu. In India, they don't speak Urdu, they speak Hindi. And in Hindi, their enunciations and pronunciation of words, they're not very well. I mean, they don't have a very clear enunciation. And the pronunciation of words also vary. For example, we have the Z sound. They don't know how to say the Z sound or the Z sound. And for them, it is J. So anything that has a Z sound will become a J to them. Similarly, they don't know how to say P, so they say F. And we obviously have this kind of language where we enunciate. Each word is very clearly enunciated. And we have a lot of consonants and a lot of, characters that they don't, alphabetic characters. And our phonetics, let's just say it this way, okay, it's the phonetics. Okay, so through the phonetics you just know. So even though my mom was like, and in Delhi actually, many people, because there are a lot of Muslims in Delhi, so they do tend to speak Urdu. Yes, they tend to speak proper Urdu like us. Sometimes even you would get confused. Even we would get confused. We feel as if we're talking to somebody from Islamabad or, and then you find out, no, this person is from Delhi. So that's, how clear and how good their Urdu is. Because actually a friend of mine who was from Delhi told me that they actually tend to take the Urdu option in, especially the Muslims. Their parents prefer that they take Urdu as an option in school and not Hindi. So even if they don't take Urdu as an option in school, their parents make sure that they learn to speak Urdu properly and not Hindi. So anyway, the point is, but that still that person kind of, he kept insisting to my mom that no, you're not local. Your language, your phonetics is very different. It's not. Mom's like, no, I am from here. It's like, no, you're not from here. Anyway, the shopkeeper was like, he made my mother admit to the fact that okay, she's from Pakistan. Now here's the thing. My mother said that she noticed that over there, when shopkeepers, vendors, generally, when they find out that you're a foreigner or you're from Pakistan, they scam you. Yeah, they literally scam you. Whereas in Pakistan, as you know, it's the opposite. In Pakistan, people are like, oh, you're our guest, and they don't even take money from you most of the time. Or they take the right. In Pakistan, Pakistanis scam Pakistanis only. That's what I've always found very, very hilarious, very ironic. And this is something, again, I've talked about in the past many times, that in India, they scam foreigners. They're racist towards foreigners. But in Pakistan, we scam each other and we're racist towards each other. But we're never racist towards foreigners and we never scam foreigners. It's weird, isn't it? It's absolutely weird. But obviously, if you go up north, the northern areas of Pakistan, as I said, it's like you're living in a completely different world. They're out of this world. Those people, they are amazing, they're generous, they're honest. They're nothing like India, Pakistan. Seriously, it's as if they just landed from another world and happened to settle in what's now Pakistan. That's all I can say about them. They're amazing people, mashallah. So, but anyway, point being that yeah, I've noticed that India, people in India are not very hospitable. I know recently because of all this fame that Pakistan seems to be getting about being such a generous country, such a hospitable country, and all. Recently, a few Indians have tried to, but no, because if something's not in your culture, it's just not there. You cannot force it. So some Indians have tried to force it, saying, oh, we're very hospitable and all. But I remember a class full of mine, and this is like more than 15, 17 years ago. There was a class full of mine in England who said that India was not at all what she expected it to be. It was the complete opposite. You see, that's the problem. Because India has always worked so much on its PR in front of the world, PR marketing of India has always been huge as opposed to Pakistan, which has been next to zero. In fact, sometimes even minus. And with Bollywood and with promoting Indian culture and with showing India as a top notch country and the future leader, one of the future leaders of the world, and blah blah blah, and an economy, a strong market, and all that. But when you go there, an actual cultural shock, and that is amplified because of the image that they're selling to you. You see, the image that they're selling to you is the complete opposite of what they really are offering. And the same is with Pakistan. So that's the same thing people say when people who have actually gone to both the countries. That is, I think, one of the biggest shocks that they have is that India is not what it promotes itself to be. It's not what it sells itself to be. It's the complete opposite. And it's a cultural shock negatively for them, sorry to say. It's a negative culture shock. Whereas when they come to Pakistan, it's a positive culture shock because they already have a very negative image of Pakistan thanks to the American and Indian PR, The American propaganda, the Indian propaganda against Pakistan has been, on a major level. So Pakistan has never been propagated positively. So when they come to Pakistan, to them, this is a huge shock. The people, the culture, the mannerisms is a huge shock to them. Something that basically, I guess, they would expect from India, but they don't get, because as I said, India is giving them another image of what it really is, as opposed to. So yeah. So now recently I've seen that in fact vloggers are getting more and more blunt in their views regarding their experiences. So when they're crossing borders from India to Pakistan, they're literally saying that, oh, I'm just so glad that I'm here. I'm already feeling much better that I'm here. They seem to have had a lot of negative experiences in India. So, see, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you try to politically sell, but the real people living in the real world, the common people, their views of the countries that they tend to visit, and when they see that, oh, this is not what we were told it was, and then when they go back home and they tell their own people, their families and friends, and then they bring them and they come over and over again, and then they start visiting other parts of the world, and they realize how much their governments or their media has propagated against so many other countries in the world. I think that is very off-putting, because then people tend to lose more trust in their government and in their media and in all the brainwashing that's going. Because this is brainwashing, yes. When you're propagating just to serve your own political interests against other countries, then yes, you are, it will negatively impact your own governance, especially when, and because the problem is that, as I said, before, despite the fact that in older days you would expect traveling to be more difficult, and it was. It would take days, months, years to travel, and yet people seem to have traveled more and exposed themselves to various cultures more. As compared to today, when we're supposed to be a global village, but lesser and lesser people are moving, and that is obviously because instead of being easier and cheaper, traveling has been made more complicated in the name of security, thanks to America and its 9/11 charade. They have literally done a number on the airport securities, and they've done a number on traveling. And so traveling has become complicated, it's become tedious, it's become, annoying, frustrating, and it's become difficult, and it's become expensive. So people are actually traveling less now as opposed to when they would. Less in the sense that people are traveling a lot, yes, but they're traveling to their own mundane, predestined destinations. For example, an overseas Pakistani will travel to and from his country and Pakistan. An overseas Indian will travel to and from India and the country they're living in. Expats are traveling between the countries they're living in and the countries they're from, in other words. And similarly, you've got, so now what you've got is you've got these backpackers and bloggers and all who are now beginning to travel again, or they're trying to do their bit by traveling and seeing various different countries. And I would say it's for this very reason, because they've realized that in real life now traveling is not as it used to be. Before, when we traveled, we literally pick and chose different countries, even up to the 80s and early 90s, mid 90s even. Traveling was a thing. It was, that, okay, let's go to Europe, let's go to different countries of Europe. Okay, then let's go to a different continent. Okay, let's go to Africa. Okay, let's go to Asia's different countries. You would, but now it's more restricted. Your traveling routes, your destinations are restricted. It's odd, but that's how it seems to be happening now. So yeah, there are, again, you have to be a lucky vlogger to be able to and you'll notice it. Vloggers also don't just up and travel. They start traveling when they've been able to monetize their accounts to the level where they're getting enough money that they can think about traveling. For backpackers, it's something else, obviously, but still, even now things are getting a bit difficult, even for backpackers. Let's be honest. So, yeah, you have to be a huge enthusiast now to be able to take that step, to take that leap to travel. One would argue I mean, this is always how it was. One would always have to be an enthusiast in order to travel. But still, I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say here when I'm saying that traveling has become more restricted, more limited as opposed to in the past. And your destinations are more limited and more restricted. So it's not traveling. You're traveling a lot, but you're not really traveling. So yeah, so I think in a way they're doing a service to the people, these common people who are vloggers. Vloggers are still common people because they're from amongst us. You understand? So when people from amongst you, when they go out and try to explore and observe, and then they bring that real raw review, that honest review as to what is going on, or what is happening, and that they're actually able to, show it to you, and they're doing a more honest job of it than your politicians and your media would, then it makes a huge difference. So I think that also has created a little more awareness amongst people, that especially people who are interested in gaining at least a little bit of knowledge as to how other people are living. And even those who are not interested because they like the vloggers, for example, or they follow them, so then they tend to follow their pursuits and inadvertently learn about other people and their cultures. So yes, a lot of exposure with regards to India, which before obviously people would use more word of mouth, but now you've got the social media platforms, so things tend to go viral and things tend to spread fast. So yeah. So the experiences of vloggers coming from India to Pakistan, the stark contrast, the reactions, the blunt, honest reviews, that is also something that I've been noticing recently. So you've got that, and then you've got India creating this political crisis with Pakistan. I think it's pretty obvious how you would see that, yes, now people like people even like Trevor Noah would suddenly go and make jokes about it, and and people are making memes about, people in Pakistan are making memes about it, but people who are not Pakistanis, they're enjoying those memes because they actually have now a little more reference to the context, you know. So yeah, I find that very, very interesting. I know it's a random podcast here, but it was just that, these, because nowadays everybody is also, Indian and Pakistani vloggers are reacting to the memes, and, they're having a good time. Everybody's having a good time. The ones who are making the memes, the ones who are reacting to the memes. And it's a good way to diffuse the situation as well, which obviously, again, as I said, see, it's the people. It's again the people, the common people, who are making fun and diffusing the situation, which is a good thing, I guess, in a way. And so that just led me to thinking that, okay, so many people are talking about the memes, and then people are talking about the attacks in Kashmir. People are realizing more and more that this is a false flag operation. And then, at the same time, this random thought of how, this whole, how, it's weird how so many things suddenly come together, isn't it? Because it first started with me listening to the Indian army lamenting on the fact that if they were ever to go to war with Pakistan, they wouldn't be ready. And that is like literally, it began 2 to 3 months ago, and it went on until half a month ago. And then, suddenly you have these foreign vloggers coming from India to Pakistan, and they are getting more and more open about their frustration with their experiences in India, as opposed to coming then to Pakistan, and how they feel, and how they're more open in expressing themselves. They're getting more and more open, really, in their expression, with regards to comparing the two countries and their experiences and their thoughts. And then suddenly you jump to India declaring, or trying to declare war very unsuccessfully, and then the memes. So yeah, I mean, have you noticed? I mean, I think you've begun to understand my train of thought here, how it all just began, and how and why it connected to me, and why I found it very, very interesting, really, very interesting. I wonder if you also realized it and found it and thought of it. Well, this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.